Okay, it's a brand new series, different team, different location. You're not playing in Atlanta anymore. You had two very ugly losses in a row. You had the day off yesterday. Coming tonight against the Washington Nationals. First time you're playing them this season. And you get the W. You get the W in the first game of the series. You win 6-2. And hopefully you can find a way to win this series now, because you got two more games left after this. You're going to have your 2 and 3 guys on the mound after tonight. Zach Wheeler and Zach Eflin. Try to find a way to win the series. Help your pitchers. And for Chase Anderson today, pitched a pretty solid damn game. I'll say it. In the first inning, allowed a couple of base runners, got out of it. It did become a questionable decision when the Phillies had the bases loaded in the fifth inning. And Joe Girardi elected to not pinch hit for Chase Anderson with the bases loaded with no outs. I can understand not pinch hitting for Chase Anderson in that situation. Because, one, you have no outs. So, okay, Anderson, maybe he gets an out. Maybe he strikes out. Maybe he flies out. Maybe he grounds out. Okay, he gets one out. Then you have Andrew McCutchen, Gene Segura up at the plate. Two guys whose bats have been pretty hot recently coming from the Braves series. So you kind of would rather expect those guys to drive in the runs there with the bases loaded with only one out. And they didn't do the job. I'm not blaming Joe Girardi's decision to not pinch hit for Chase Anderson there, because, one, Chase Anderson was pitching a pretty good game up to that point, and you still had 2 outs left with your top guys of the lineup up. So I put more on the blame of Andrew McCutchen and Gene Segura not getting the job done there, because they didn't do it and they left the bases loaded. I'm not putting majority of the blame on Joe Girardi not pinch hitting for Chase Anderson, even though Chase Anderson did come out that next half inning, but I still understand the decision to not pinch hit for him because he was pitching a pretty damn good game there. But still, he pitched a pretty damn good game. If you look at his box score for today, went 5 innings, allowed 3 hits, 2 earned runs. One of those earned runs came when Coonrod was on the mound, or both of those runs actually came when Coonrod was on the mound. So both of those got charged to Anderson. He allowed 1 walk, 5 strikeouts, and 1 home run allowed. So, yeah, it was a pretty solid performance from Chase Anderson. Actually, the first run he allowed was the home run to Trey Turner, so Coonrod allowed the extra one, which was charged to Chase Anderson. My mistake there, but still, really solid effort, and that's basically what you expect from your 5th starter. Go at least 5-6 innings, and that's what he did. It was enough to get the win today for the Phils, and good for Chase Anderson. Pitched himself a pretty good game. Now he's 2 and 3 on the season, and the Phillies, they got off to a hot start in this ball game. Bryce Harper back in DC. Booing. Fans booing. This fan base hates him. He betrayed them. He left them. Even though they won a World Series, he also said, we'll bring the title back to DC. And then the Nationals went on their run in 2019. But that fan base despises Bryce Harper right now. And what does Bryce Harper do when he goes to DC? He hits bombs. He hits bombs. And that's what he did in the first at-bat of this ball game. Bomb to right field, 1-0 Phillies. He rounds first base, does the little home run signal, and he gives the Phillies a 1-0 lead. And the Phillies, they continue to tack on more runs. Chase Anderson, he had a little bit of issues in the bottom of the first inning, got out of it. He allowed a couple of base runners, got out of it. Good on him. Phillies in the 3rd inning, they get some base runners on. You got Bryce Harper starting off with a walk. Then you get Brad Miller getting a single. Rhys Hoskins driving in a run to make it 2-0. So the Phillies make it 2-0 in the top of the 3rd inning. Go to the top of the 4th. Phillies get some more runners on. Odubel Herrera gets a double. His bat is starting to wake up a little bit, so maybe that could be a bright spot, but it's also, I don't like Odubel Herrera, but I'm not going to get further into that situation. So he gets on with a double. Chase Anderson lays down a beautiful bunt, gets him over to third base. Andrew McCutchen does the job, gets a sac fly, drives him in, makes it 3-0. So we go to the top of the 6th inning. This is where the Phillies got the bases loaded, and the situation with Chase Anderson comes in. I thought it was the 5th inning, but it was actually the 6th inning. So Rhys Hoskins gets on first base, reaches on an error. Didi Gregorius gets a single. Odubel Herrera walks. So you get the bases loaded. Chase Anderson, not pinched hit for. He flies out, actually, to Kyle Schwarber, but Rhys Hoskins on third base, and Schwarber had a hell of a throw to home. So Rhys Hoskins was not going to go on that play. If it was a little deeper, maybe he could have scored. But Chase Anderson, I'm not going to complain there. You had no outs at that situation. and you had Andrew McCutchen and Gene Segura. I almost said Didi Gregorius for some reason, but my brain is scrambled, folks. But yeah, Kutch and Gene Segura. And what do those guys both do? Andrew McCutchen strikes out. Kutch, without that sac fly, didn't have the best day at the plate. Did not. And Gene Segura didn't have the best day at the plate either. He struck out for the first time in what was like over 45 plate appearances. So yeah, Gene Segura didn't have the best day at the plate either because he flew out to center field, and the Phillies didn't drive a single run home in that inning. And then you directly go into the bottom of the sixth inning. The first pitch of that inning, Trey Turner sends it out into the left field stands, and he makes it a 3-2-1 game. Then Chase Anderson can't pitch to Juan Soto. He walks him. Joe Girardi elects to take him out, goes to Sam Coonrod. He gets the first out of the inning, but then Kyle Schwarber gets an RBI single, makes it 3-2, but then he eventually gets out of it as Yan Gomes pops up and Starlin Castro flies out. And then we go into the seventh inning because the Nationals, like the Phillies, the Nationals had a chance with the bases loaded, and that came in the bottom of the seventh inning. They get their bases loaded situation. Phillies have to use a couple of pitchers because Brandon Kinsler, he starts the inning. And then the Nationals, they get their runners on base. It actually comes with 2 outs in this point because you got Ryan Zimmerman, he gets the double. And then you come in with the defensive replacement to end up Joe Girardi coming in for the double switch as well, bringing in Jose Alvarado to face Trey Turner, and then also bringing in Alec Boehm to play at third base, taking out Brad Miller because Alec Boehm did not play in this ballgame. Alvarado comes in to face Trey Turner, walks him, and then Juan Soto walks him. So you got the bases loaded, and you got Josh Bell up. Josh Bell strikes out. And also, there was a scary situation with JT Realmuto during this at-bat with Josh Bell. So it was a foul ball. It was one of the traditional Jose Alvarado 100-mile-an-hour pitches. Josh Bell got a foul tip, and then it went right off the left knee of JT Realmuto, and you can definitely tell he was in major discomfort after that. He took a 100-mile pitch off the bat, off the knee, and he was definitely in discomfort. He finished off the inning, but he didn't return to the ball game after that. But Josh Bell does strike out regardless in that situation, but JT does not return into the ball game. So there's a little bit of a scary situation there. Hopefully JT is fine, and maybe he'll just need one extra day off just to rest that knee. Andrew Knapp does come into the ballgame, and he has a big at-bat later. So the Nationals, they had their chance with the bases loaded, and they couldn't do anything. When the Phillies had their chance, they couldn't do anything. The Nationals respond. But the Phillies, okay, Nationals get the bases loaded. They don't do anything. Let's respond ourselves. And how did they do it? Odubel Herrera gets another double. And then Alec Boehm coming into the ballgame for his first at-bat, doubles to right center field, drives in Odubel Herrera, makes it 4-2. Andrew McCutchen gets a walk. Then Gene Segura grounds out, but it manages to move Boehm and Andrew McCutchen over to second and third base. Bryce Harper, they intentionally walk him to try to get the double play factor in there. Andrew Knapp's first at-bat gets a single to left field, and that scores Andrew McCutchen and Alec Boehm to make it a 6-2 ball game. And that's all the runs the Phillies needed. The Phillies didn't score again in that rest of the eighth inning. Bottom of the eighth inning, Connor Brogdon comes in. He gets 3 outs, does his job. Then they go into the bottom of the ninth inning. It was a little bit of questionable why you bring in Hector Neris in this situation because you got a 4-run lead. And it did become scary because he did allow 2 base runners, but he didn't allow a run. But he got out of it, I guess. I would have kept Brogdon in just to not overuse the bullpen for the rest of the game. But then also you got to think about you have Zach Wheeler on the mound tomorrow, and his last outing was a complete game against the Brewers. So Zach Wheeler has been hot as of recent, and definitely you expect him to go at least 7 innings in tomorrow's ball game because the bullpen's definitely going to need some major rest. But the Phillies, bullpen, Chase Anderson, they got the job done. They got the job done, and the offense responded after the Nationals had their mistake with the bases loaded. So I guess they found a way to make the other team pay for not driving in their runs when they had the chance. And the Nationals, they're one of those other teams that really struggle with runners in scoring position. I think when I saw after that inning with the bases loaded, the broadcast said that they were batting around, 200 with runners in scoring position. So it's one of those other situations in baseball where teams are just struggling to score runs. And the Nationals, they are one of those teams. And if we look at the box score today for the Phillies, Andrew McCutchen goes 0 for 3 with the sac fly. He did strike out twice. And the umpire today, I forget his name behind the plate, was not good. And you could definitely tell early that both benches were not happy with his strikes. And literally, Andrew McCutchen strikes out. Then you're hearing the umpire literally yell into the Phillies bench because Joe Girardi is probably pissed off at the strike zone location, and it just wasn't good. The Nationals had their situations too with the umpire strike zone, so it was just a mess. It was an absolute mess. Gene Segura goes 0 for 5 with a strikeout. Not a good night for him. Bryce Harper goes 1 for 2 with 2 runs scored, an RBI, and 2 walks with that home run in the first inning. JT Realmuto goes 1 for 3, and then Andrew Knapp comes in for that pinch hit situation, gets the single, and drives in those 2 runs. Brad Miller went 1 for 3 in this ball game. Nick Maton got a pinch hit situation. He went 0 for 1. Rhys Hoskins goes 1 for 4 with an RBI and a walk. Didi Gregorius goes 1 for 5. Odubel Herrera had a good day at the plate, goes 2 for 3 with 2 walks as well. So his average goes above 200, so maybe his bat is starting to get hot. And then Alec Bohm, he had his at bat when he came back into the ball game. He goes 1 for 2 with that RBI in the 8th inning. And there was one odd stat because I'm trying to remember it. I think it was like through the first 7 innings of the ball game, both teams like threw a combined an obnoxious amount of pitches, and like so many foul balls were hit. Like you could definitely tell throughout this entire ball game, players were battling in their at bats. Like the one at bat with Trey Turner and Jose Alvarado, he just kept fouling off the pitches. It was just like, come on, just miss, just strike out. It was one of those games where the batters kept battling, and you give credit to them. Give credit where credit is due. Phillies with runners in scoring position today went 3 for 15, and they left 12 runners on base. That's what happens when you leave the bases loaded. But hey, they scored runs when they got their chances. And the Nationals did the same thing. They were 1 for 6 with runners in scoring position. Not as much as the Phillies, but it also shows the same story that they're not as good with runners in scoring position either. So, you get the win. You get the win today. You bounce back from those 2 ugly losses against Atlanta. Win this series. This series win is mandatory. You cannot lose this series to Washington. You just cannot. And you get the win today. And tomorrow it's going to be Zach Wheeler going up against John Lester. And John Lester, his stats 0-1, 2.7 ERA. He's pitched pretty decently for Washington. The Nationals' pitching has been pretty decent so far this season. It's their hitting. It's their hitting that's trying to find their way. But you have to find the way to win these ball games. Zach Wheeler needs to go at least 7 innings tomorrow. And then you have the game on Thursday, and that's going to be Zach Eflin on the bump going up against Patrick Corbin. And Patrick Corbin has not been good this year for the Nationals. He is 1-3 with an ERA above 7.3. So you really got to take advantage of these next 2 games. Hell, I honestly would say a sweep is mandatory of this team, but we all know the Phillies on the road and they struggle, so at most I'm just asking for a series win. Just win a series on the goddamn road. Because you desperately need to. You have to bounce back from that terrible series loss to the Braves where you should have won that series, at least on Saturday, but you didn't. And then you got smoked on Sunday. You need to win this series. You do. I would say a sweep is mandatory, but win the goddamn series, because after this series, you go on the road to play the Toronto Blue Jays, and that's going to be really tough. So please win this series at least. Because with Toronto, you're definitely going to have Vince Velasquez on the mound, you're going to have Aaron Nola on the bump too, and you're also going to have to deal most likely with Chase Anderson on the back end of that series. So this series against Washington is so important, because you're going to have another tough one on the road this weekend against Toronto. Win this series. Find a way. I say sweep is mandatory, but just win it. Just win the series, please. And just do it. Just do it. I was trying to think of another word. I couldn't. So just win the damn series, please. And just get us out of this pain and agony that we're in. We just need to. And Bryce Harper, after struggling a lot in the Braves series after coming back from his wrist injury, hopefully this game tonight and playing in Washington is giving them that juice, giving them that energy to where he could play once again to where the level that he was playing before he got hit by the pitch in St. Louis. Hopefully he can find a way to get back to that level, and hopefully that home run is something that can spark it. And with Alec Bohm, maybe he just needed a day off because he came into the lineup and he got that hit to drive in the extra run, the go-ahead run, to help us win this ball game. So hopefully that can find a way to give Alec Bohm some confidence as well. But I'm not going to ask for too much. Like I said, just win the damn series. And I think I'm prolonging this for way too long. So I think I'm going to end it off right here. So what are your guys' thoughts on this ball game? Your thoughts on Chase Anderson's performance, the offense performance, everything in total. Don't forget to leave those comments down in the comment section. As always, don't forget to drop a like on this video. Don't forget to check out the Bandit Lines, which I'm a part of. Their links are down in the description below. And don't forget to check out the links to the Fired Up Pod merchandise website, and also for Flyers Nitty Gritty. They will be down in the description as well. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, everyone, and I will see you next time.